see all of you here tonight. Truly, and give yourselves a round of applause. After the article in the paper today, someone said to me, I didn't know it was that controversial. Yeah, me neither. We are really, really honored to have Beyond Brokeback here at the library. And as you probably read in the paper today, this was something that I was so excited to do. There was no hesitation. I have had great support from the community, great support from my foundation board, from the library board, which Jackie McGuire is here from the library board, so I have to give her kudos. When Gregory and I, the creator of this production, first talked many, many months ago, he said, is this okay? Do you think it'll be okay? And I said, well, why wouldn't it be? And I was perfectly honest. And he said, well, no one else around the state has really accepted this and embraced it. And it was really a no-brainer for me. And at the time, I was bringing in an author from New York that was talking about torture of our soldiers in Afghanistan. And I said, you know what, this will be tame after that. And I just had no hesitation to bring this production here. So, it is based on Beyond Brokeback, the impacts of a film from the members of the Ultimate Brokeback Forum. This anthology will be put in our library, and we have a CD of the music. It's a very powerful book, and the script is based on that. Gregory Hinton, as I mentioned, is the script writer. He is the creator of this. And he's the brainchild behind Out West. There is an exhibit at the Autry Museum of the Brokeback shirts that are on display there. He is taking this around the country. It goes from here to Chicago. And at one point, last night, he said to we've had one rehearsal, by the way. So at the rehearsal last night, he said, oh, and we're going to Las Vegas in February. And the cast said, we are? we're actually not. Sorry, guys. Yeah. But it is going to Chicago in the Roosevelt Auditorium next. Gregory works with museums, libraries, and universities, so we are very proud to be the first library in Montana to host this. So a little bit about our cast here tonight. None of them knew each other until last night. And I have had the honor of knowing several of them and then just talking to several of them on the phone and via email. And I can say that every time I ask somebody if they would be a part of this, everybody very enthusiastically and graciously agreed to do this. Josh here, I found at Nova Cafe. That's the truth. I was actually eating lunch there. I had the poster. It was sitting on the table. And he was handing the bill and said, so what are you guys doing with that? This is a true story, isn't it, Josh? Yeah. And then the rest is magic, right? And I said, we're doing this production. And the woman I was with said, hey, you want to be a reader? And he said, yeah. And so there was more Josh. And then the funnier story to that is yesterday morning Greg was having breakfast at Nova and saw the poster that was there and mentioned it to Josh. And he said, I'm doing this little thing at the library. And Josh said, I'm doing that little thing at the library too. And then Hannah comes to us from MSU, the Women's Center, and I called over there and I said, is there anybody that would be interested, do you think? I talked to Betsy Danforth, who's the director of that, and she said, I've got just the person for you. And literally within 2 hours, I think Hannah had already called me back and said, absolutely, I'm so excited, I would love to do this. Mel Frost was on vacation, and I sent her an email, and I said, when are you back? And she called me probably within 10 minutes and said, I just got back yesterday. And I said, great, I've got a project for us. And so I'm so excited to have her here with us. And Sherman Hall came to us. I met with Carol Wilder, who is with, she has been with the Broad Comedy, she's been with Equinox Theater and Sponco, and lots of fun things. And we sat down, she said, I was an instructor, and I said, give me some names of folks that, and she said, oh, you've got to call Sherman, you can't go wrong with him, he's fabulous. She was in Streetcar Named Desire with him. And I called him, he was in Seattle, and I think I emailed him, he called back and he said, what is this thing? And I explained, and he said, yes, I would love to do it. Edis Kittrell, who will be joining us on guitar as well as singing, has been here for other productions, doing musical productions here at the library, and I said, oh, she would be fabulous. We needed a guitar player, we needed someone who can sing. And sent her, I think I called her up. Jeannie and I were sitting in the office. Where's Jeannie? Did she walk out? There she is. Jeannie, my co-producer over here. And we were sitting there doing a brainstorm of names, and I said, oh, Edis would be great. And she said, do you have her email? And I said, no. She said, look her up in the phone book. And I said, wow, people still do that. And I looked at her, and there she was. And literally, I picked up, and I dialed the number right then, and I explained it, and she said, yes, I'm available. I would love to do it. And then Jake Koelzer, who I have to say sang the national anthem today for the Bobcat game. So I have known Jake since he was in 8th grade. He is went to school with my daughter, and I told him this last night at the last senior concert for the high school 2 years ago. I was sitting there watching him, and my mom was there, and my daughter was the last thing, and all of a sudden I broke down in tears, and I said, oh my gosh, this is the last time I'm going to hear Jake sing. I was just torn up. Luckily, he's back, so. Again, just sent him an email and said, Jake, are you available these nights? I need someone to really pull this lead part in singing. And he looked and he said, yes, I'm available, I can do it. And as he admitted last night, he had no idea what he was agreeing to. So, he has not seen the movie. He had not. So I gave him, last night, I gave him the short story, and I said, you have to go home and read it. And he said, I'm singing tomorrow, Paula, I don't have time. And I said, it will take you about 20 minutes, read the book, read the short story. So he did. Because I told him last night, I can remember when I read the short story 10 years ago, whenever it first came out. I remember the place I was at, I remember the room, I remember the environment, I remember everything about it. It was had that much of an impact on me, and I never joined the forum. I didn't even know it existed until I met Gregory, but I have a story just like everybody else does in this book, of just being so surprised and impressed and overwhelmed by what an amazing short story is. And we have 2 copies here at the library, so I'll return mine on Monday, I promise. So please do, if you haven't read the beautiful short story by Annie Crew, I suggest you pick it up. And the movie was so amazing that you could create a full-length movie out of 20 or 30 pages that was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. I watched it with my daughter a couple of years ago, and we still talk about it. So I am honored and thrilled and just overjoyed to have all of you here with us tonight to share this. So,
The piano player?
oh my gosh, thank you. I know. Well, here's the surprising story about this, is that Ann Tappan, which you'll see on your playbill, again, I called her and said, Ann, I need a piano player, and she said, I would love to do it. She practiced, she rehearsed. She called me on Thursday at 1:30 in the afternoon from the emergency room and said, Paula, I'm getting my wrist x-rayed. I think I have broken it.
Oh, no.
And she called me from the emergency room. All she could do was say, I am so sorry. I'm so looking forward to doing this. I'm so sorry. And I said, Ann, don't worry. I feel sorry for you. Please, do what you need to do. I literally got on the phone, an email. I called all the musicians I knew in town, said, I need a piano player. And the testament to the library is that Greg Young was on the phone calling me back, Dean of MSU. Eric Funk called me back. A whole host, Kelly Roberti was on it. They're all like, oh, let me help you. I'm on it. We've got it. Within 2 hours, I was on the phone with David, and he said, I can do this. He hadn't even seen the scores yet. So, yesterday was the first time. I'm sorry, David, that I forgot. I am very much indebted to him for stepping in. He's done a beautiful job, and literally we had one rehearsal last night, and it is a beautiful production. What I would like to do now, though, is to introduce Mayor Jeff Krauss. He was the first person, when Gregory and I were talking, Greg said, do you think you could get the mayor to do the narration? And I said, you know what, I'm having dinner with him in a couple of days. Let me just ask him. He said, seriously? And I said, yeah, it's a small town. Trust me, it's all. And Jeff and I were sitting at dinner, and we were breaking up, and I said, hey, Jeff, what are you doing on October 1st? I've got this production. I gave maybe a 2-minute description, and he pulled out his BlackBerry, and he said, I'm available, whatever you want me to do, and he plugged it in right then. And I contacted Gregory, and I said, we've got the mayor, and he was overwhelmed. He said, we're going to Chicago. Can he have any effect on the mayor of Chicago? So I called Jeff, and I said, you're a trendsetter. Could you call Rahm Emanuel, please? And Jeff said, do I need to swear? And we said, it would help. So if we get the mayor of Chicago, it is because of Jeff Krauss and the sway that he has and his great reading.
More than 10 million people went to see Brokeback Mountain after it opened in the winter of 2005. For some of them, it was just a movie. But others walked out of the theater feeling like something had been ripped open inside of them. They talked to friends, to family, to roommates, to therapists. Some found what they needed there, others kept on looking. Thousands found each other on a website called the Ultimate Brokeback Forum. Some came to the forum to discuss the film, others needed to talk about themselves. Some of us saw a little more on the screen than we were comfortable with. Even before the film's release, it started. The trailer called us on our bullshit. There are lies we have to tell, one of the captions read. There are truths we can't deny. Lies we have to tell? Do we? When did we accept that? And what price did we pay? Jack and Edis paid pretty dearly, and watching them swallow up their lies was what it finally took for some people. Many of us left the theater fired up. We'll never know how many slept on it and thought better of it. Maybe they could live with those lies. But we couldn't shake this film. It ate at us for days or weeks. It demanded change that wasn't going away. The forum drew more than 500,000 posts in its first year. But the more startling figure concerns all the people who did not post. 50 to 100,000 came by each month to silently witness. They had a unique position to watch from. Thousands of lives changed before our eyes on this forum. First, we shared the fictitious lives. Jack and Edis getting ripped apart on the screen in the dark. Then we saw what those guys did to us. Not just the immediate reaction in the lobby or over drinks an hour later, but the lasting effect, months down the road. Who changed? Who didn't? With all the unexpected turns in our own stories. So many changes. I never foresaw that. I wish I could say I created Ultimate Brokeback Forum to help all those people. It never crossed my mind. Never occurred to me that they would need it. The intensity of the fallout from this film took me by surprise. I started the website just to help the film. It was the audience who was left in need.
Meet me on the mountain when summer comes again. Meet me on the mountain early snow that drove us down to the narrow towns that gave no shelter from the cold. Meet me on the mountain when the summer comes again. Meet me on the mountain. I'll be waiting for you there. It's not a matter of yeses and of no's when you feel it in your soul. A love like ours and the grace-filled hours was no one's business but our own. So meet me on the mountain when the summer comes again. Meet me on the mountain. I'll be waiting for you there. You meet me on the mountain. I'll be waiting for you there. I'll be waiting for you there.
On December 12, 2005, I saw Brokeback Mountain at a crowded matinee in Manhattan with a close friend. The story, which I reread for the first time since it appeared in New Yorker in 1997, and the general air of expectancy around the film had made me eager to see it. But nothing could have prepared me for the impact of that first viewing. As my friend and I left the theater, we exchanged no more than 2 or 3 sentences about the film, both of us feeling overwhelmed and stunned into silence.
I'm consumed, I'm cursed. There's so many memories, so much pain. I successfully buried most of it until this movie brought it all rushing back. I'd actually convinced myself that I was happy, doing okay. I'm so lost, so very alone. I just got back from milking 95 head of cows. Gives me time to think about what I've been feeling.
The credits roll, and I hurry to grab my coat and straighten my baseball cap, fearful that every emotion I was laughing off to myself, in order not to let them out, would pour out in the lobby. I could not look anyone in the eye, for fear I would not know how to speak to them. I stumble out, confused, with a piercing pain in my chest and stomach. My phone rings and I find it hard to breathe, to speak to my ex. I huff out, I just saw Brokeback Mountain. I really can't talk right now.
When the movie ended, I just stayed in my seat through all the credits. giving time to compose myself before leaving. By the time I did get up and turn around, I was alone, as the others sitting behind me had already left. So no one saw how red my eyes were.
I don't recall having a desire to go out to see Brokeback Mountain. I think I assumed that it would be all game bashing, and who would want to see that? Plus, I didn't want to get my heart broken.
Stagger out of the cinema in days.
Hit me like a missile.
I was stunned. I sat in the theater alone after everyone left and cried.
It's made me think, reach out, contact the love of my life, consider making geographic moves. In short, it ripped down every wall I'd built around my heart.
Why do some people walk out of the theater and go to dinner and talk about the weather, while others walk and find the horizons that are erased?
Are we so powerfully affected by this movie because so much of our lives are numb? And this movie won't let us be numb?
I met a friend at a party a month after I'd seen Brokeback Mountain. As usual, we discussed some movies we recently attended, and he asked me about the Ang Lee film. I blurted out, "I can't get it out of my soul."
I think Ang Lee should get his ass over here and clean up my house. It's not my fault I can't get anything done.
And after he's done at your house, he needs to come to my house and help my kids with their homework. The teachers at school probably think I'm out of town and my husband's in charge.
Brokeback provided us with a language of loss that we could all understand. Brokeback hit us directly in the heart and ripped our protective layers to shreds. It left us vulnerable and raw, and also alive. Brokeback cannot give meaning or purpose to our lives, but it has exposed the need, shown us the way we have lost our direction, and we need to reclaim it.
We all have stories to tell, just as I'm sharing part of mine here. Our stories are fundamental to how we make sense of the world, how we know and understand one another through joy and suffering. Our stories embody our hopes and dreams and future possibilities.
I'm Scottish and I live in Spain. I've just come Virgin like the Brokeback. It's dropped a depth charge into my very existence, blown away all the disgressive rubbish, 50 years in the making. Years on this planet that filled my brain with reminding me, maybe just in time, that love, all its forms, is the only imperative to which the soul should learn. Ang and the gang, we should be very proud. There's a life-changing work of art.
Remember those two shirts? Remember the smell and mountain air lingering no more?
Your face, a memory. Our threadbare sleeves entwined. Come home to me now.
I left pieces of me on the road for you to find. Is there anything more than darkness at the end of our journey?
Jack!
I lived in the general region of Childress, where the movie was banned and well remembered the gay bashing and murders that were not uncommon around here during the late 70s, early 80s, and even still. A friend of mine, who for a while was more than that, was one of the many innocent victims. I can't begin to imagine the impact this movie has had, and will continue to have in my life.
Brokeback Mountain hit me like a Mack truck. It ran right over my body and left tire tracks, indelible and permanent on my soul. Every day for more than a month, during long walks, I confronted long suppressed memories and struggled to come to grips with the demons those memories freed. My first memory, a happy one, stretches back to the age of 5 or 6. I was holding my grandmother's hand as she introduced me to her cowboy pals, Bud and Manuel. From their scuffed leather boots to their weathered Stetsons, they looked like real men, lean, muscular, with big calloused hands and strong faces, tanned by the sun. Bud owned a cattle ranch. Manuel was his foreman. They built barbed wire fences and rode the range together on horseback. Later on, I also realized they shared a bed. Bud and Manuel were gay cowboys. And even though neither man would have known what gay meant 60 years ago. In those days, gay folk were called queers and homos. Nobody but Bud and Manuel would have dared ask if they were gay, but everybody sensed that Bud belonged to Manuel. They were an inseparable pair, just like my grandmother's married friends. I've thought a lot about Bud and Manuel after viewing Brokeback Mountain. They're long gone, but I wish they were here to share their story with me. How did they forge a relationship in rural California in the 1940s? 3 visual metaphors from Brokeback Mountain echo in the memories of every gay man who came out when Edis and Jack were struggling to accept their love. The closet, the bloodied shirts, and the tire iron. Most gay men were wedged in closets so tight and airless, we could hardly breathe. We all had our bloodied shirts, the secrets and the pain and hurt we experienced. We all feared the tire iron that could strike suddenly and violently. My gay friends have been attacked with everything from broken bottles and baseball bats to rocks and ice picks. Brokeback Mountain started me on a journey of self-healing. During my walks, I confronted many things I long suppressed. Everything came spilling out. With the help of my friends, I worked through it all. I wouldn't trade that journey for anything. It has led me to self-understanding and self-acceptance. I call it the Brokeback Miracle.
Everyone should have the opportunity to watch Brokeback Mountain. This masterpiece is a weapon against ignorance, intolerance, and the like. Rimbaud thought that poetry can change a life. I'm one of those who believe that Brokeback Mountain can change a life.
I'm a 56-year-old divorced woman. I have had such an incredible experience after watching Brokeback Mountain. I'm still sorting out my emotions. I had low expectations going into the film due to all the hoopla and the negative comments. I was not prepared anyway for what happened to me as I watched it. I've never understood how people of the same sex could love each other like a man and a woman. I've tried in my life to come to terms with this, but without success. Then, as I was sitting there watching Edis and Jack, it started to hit me with such a power I couldn't control it. That's what Brokeback Mountain did for me. I know how beautiful love between 2 men can be. I have to stop now because I'm crying and I'm overcome with my emotions.
Cost of movie tickets, $42 for 6 showings. Weight gained by a diet of popcorn, Junior Mints, and Cherry Coke, 7.3. Boxes of Kleenex to dry unexplained bouts of crying, 4. Money spent on eBay on I Heart Gay Cowboys t-shirts, $13 plus $5 shipping. Believing in love again as I watched the dozy embrace, priceless.
A lot of people, myself included, have been confused and a little bit freaked out by their strong emotional reactions to Brokeback Mountain. To wit, the tears that seem almost non-stop in the weeks after first seeing the movie or reading the book. And that seemed to kick right back in, at the drop of a cowboy hat in the months that followed. Some have said it felt like Brokeback Mountain uncovered a well of sadness in them that they didn't know existed, which also applies to me. What didn't make sense to me was why people, seemingly little in common, male or female, straight or gay, happily married or divorced, single or partnered, all ended up the same way, sobbing, as if our hearts would break. I think each of us who has had this reaction has experienced severe emotional wounding that, up until now, has never been healed by grieving. I also think that the reason we've not grieved up until now is that the wounding, even though severe, was a slow process. So slow that many of us didn't even know that we'd been hurt until we saw that slow, indisputable proof laid out there before us on the screen or the page. And we realized, to varying degrees, it was the story of our wounding being told.
I'm a struggling to find happiness in my life. I have issues to resolve with a special lady in my life. I have some individuals in my past who linger in my memories as a disappointment. Of course, there are also straight women around me today who cannot return my affections, even if some of them, in another world, would feel safe to explore that side of themselves. So the movie hit home for me. The concepts of lost love, of impossible circumstances, of waiting, of hoping, of settling for crumbs when you're capable of giving so much more.
I'm 61. No man who is gay does not live in a closet. Betraying the truth about himself, denying who he is by presenting himself as who he is not, often many times a day. In the bank, in the laundry, at the gas station, to a neighbor, to a stranger. Not just for convenience, but out of fear, mistrust, anxiety that's a low-grade constant. Because no gay man has not seen the hostility, not encountered the contempt at one time or another. Few have not felt personally threatened. Many have felt the shaming blows. Every gay man at one time knows the toll this disdain or derision takes. But if it is not sometimes dealt with ably, too often it is not.
I grew up in Jackson, Wyoming, before it was a ski area. It was a way of life. The last century has changed much around here in Wyoming, a fair amount, but maybe not as much as most of the world. I think it has to do with the harshness of the landscape. A lot of people who come here don't appreciate the wild, sheer majesty of this part of the world. That is what I love about it the most. I have to say that when I'm around large groups of people, I'm apprehensive. But when I'm in the middle of a ground blizzard, I feel comforted. I don't know what to expect from people. But while this country is unforgiving, if you respect it, then you will be rewarded with the wonders beyond belief. A few days ago, I visited Porcupine Hills, which is near Brokeback Mountain in the Bighorns. On the way up, I lost my footing and fell. I knocked over a rock, and there was one of those lapel pins underneath. It was all rusted up, and I could read the inscription. Are we over the rainbow yet?
It was nobody's business but theirs. And yet above, standing sentinel, a tree took in, along the sunlight, the radiance of an arm, a leg embracing madly the other one, sheen of flank and thigh, dark hair, bodies twisting, a vow, a threat, a promise. Of love beyond love's own tired meaning. They imagined themselves invisible, yet, sighing as they did, the boughs of the wind watched, trembling as they did, the branches longed to embrace too. The embrace upon the pine's own scattered needles. Summer ended, years passed. A tree cut down firewood, but within the fire from 63 glowed there the memory of love long past, an after-image, like the sun behind the clouds, behind closed eyes.
I made a place for you. how it hurts me when you keep turning away. Whenever I talk of us settling down, aren't we both tired of this double life we're living? Oh yes, that we're living. I might be tired, and they can't be worse than what we've got now. And I know you've seen the head of hatred, and you got good reasons to run, but you'll never know your shadows that I can see in the sun. Friend, will we always be those few whose cold hearts you can leave well enough alone? We can't let them keep us from having a place to go. What I would give to heal your sorrows, what I would give to ease your fears. And if you could trust with me tomorrow and the rest of your years, you know I love you, and with love there's no record of wrongs and no keeping score. You won't count me counting, but don't make me wait anymore. You won't catch me counting, but please don't make me wait anymore.
What is it about this movie? Keeps kicking me around. It's like everything I've shoved away just so I could survive has decided to visit me again in full measure.
While Annie Proulx may have intended to write a story about the destructiveness of homophobia, I think she wrote about something else of which perhaps even she was unaware. A story about the destructiveness of emotional and physical abuse and the neglect of young boys. Had both Jack and Edis had childhoods built on love, I'd like to believe that they would have had the means to make things work, or at least make better choices. Without that foundation, they were doomed from birth. I find myself crying at inappropriate times. Real life has almost never felt this painfully real.
I'm 19, and I came out when I was 14. We go through a lot that shapes who we are, and how we view gay people, and how we relate to others and have relationships. Growing up in a small town where I came out, I've had so much emotional and personal shit to deal with. I was met with a lot of tension and hate. It scared me. To this day, I have a hard time accepting and loving myself. While Brokeback Mountain shows me what not to do, it also shows me that there isn't one type of gay man. There's connection to be found and shared between two people that no one else can verbalize, not even the people involved. Brokeback Mountain showed me that there are people out there who will love you for what you are, despite your flaws and tragedies, and that life and relationships aren't easy. There isn't always one happy ending, but the choices we make define us, and sometimes we have choices for a happier future.
I don't want to be known as a white woman. When someone sees me, I want them to think more than aging hippie. I'm both. I'm both, but much, much more. And more than that, I believe this is true of everyone. I have been reading that those who control the language control far more. Categories, pigeonholes, gay, bi, straight, are social constructs. They can be a part of someone's identity if one wants, but they aren't the person. It's wonderful when we train our eyes and heart to see the entire person instead of one feature. It's too bad we can't teach that to kids in school. It would go a long way towards eliminating bigotry.
My son had several girlfriends, some quite serious. But it was only when I saw him with Alan that my husband and I realized that he really loved him. It has been so good for us to see that he has the capacity to really love someone. To me, he's just my son, who happens to love another man. Like everyone else, this film has got me good. I went to see it to help me understand my gay son, but you won't be surprised to hear that the person I understand better is myself.
I took my 14-year-old daughter to see Brokeback Mountain. She's in her last year of middle school, thank God. And the "that's so gay" phrase they all like to throw around is something I've been lecturing against to no avail. She's a sensitive kid, though. And I thought she could handle a movie, so we went. Halfway through, she was sniffling. When the postcard came back marked "deceased," she started sobbing and didn't stop till we left the theater. She talked all the way home about how sorry she feels for Edis and Jack. How can Edis bear to live? She declared that she thinks he'll commit suicide. I pointed out that she was talking about them like they were real people, not movie characters. To give her a mirror, and she paused to say, "But they were so real. It didn't feel like a movie."
The minimum age to see Brokeback Mountain in Finland is 11. My friend's daughter is 14. Her class sees 2 movies each semester together as part of the school's curriculum. The students get to choose a movie, with the teachers vetoing if necessary, of course. This time, her whole class went to see Brokeback Mountain. The teachers resisted at first, but the class was adamant, and they all went to see it. They thought the ending was stupid, because why couldn't they be together? They had good discussions, but not about homosexuality, but about losing a friend, about what it means to fall in love, about harassment and violence, and about what it is like to be perceived as different. My friend is divorced, and she said that for the first time, her daughter had shared her feelings about it with her classmates and later with her. Why had the teachers objected at first? They were afraid of the reaction of the parents, but not one parent complained, not one. Thank God for the next generation. Sometimes I'm so proud of living up here north.
Brokeback Mountain is to be used as a teaching tool in high schools. Hooray! Makes me proud to be a Canadian. Again. The British Columbia Teachers Federation Homophobia and Heterosexism Action Group has developed a Brokeback Mountain lesson plan. Stated outcomes of the lesson plans are to encourage students to 1, to analyze how this movie reflects current-day attitudes towards gay people, 2, to understand how homophobia impacts people's daily lives, and 3, to encourage students' personal choices in making the world more accepting of GLBT people. Among the questions given for discussion among students after viewing the film are the following. What factors influence homophobia in rural communities? How would they be similar to your local community? To what degree has life changed for rural LGBT youth since 1963, when this movie was set? What needs to change in society before Jack's twists dream of him and Edis owning a ranch together would be a non-event in rural communities?
I grew up in a small town in southeast Oklahoma. I always knew I would have to leave, and it tore me apart to have to decide between my home and my family or a real life.
As a boy, I was blessed that my father took me camping and fishing in the flat-top wilderness area of northern Colorado. In this time with him, I learned to appreciate the world and its natural beauty. Brokeback takes me back to those places. They conjure up emotions of connectedness, yearning, and humility. I remember those long, starlit nights, telling stories around the campfire as the air began to chill. The experience was palpable. I could smell the smoke, taste the elk meat, feel the damp cold, and hear the crackling embers. A year ago, my father suddenly passed away. My brother and I took his ashes up to the mountaintop, where he taught us to fish as boys. It's one of the most important things I've ever done in my life.
Where am I now? You can't see me. Way up high among the hazy blue, and you can't know what I'm watching. In the sweet, cool dream forever. Up here in the sweet forever, I can read your mind. The mind you never designed to share with me. It's funny how I know you better now. Since the world and I parted company, if I could, I'd comfort you and tell you it's all right. I'd sing the song that you once sung to me, but instead I'd watch you, see you safe, in the sweet, cool dream forever. And this being alone doesn't mend matters, and the whiskey ain't much help now either. But each new wrinkle, each gray hair I cherish, in the sweet, cool dream forever. I heard your whisper bow to me, I heard your silent prayer, and I know more than you did. What you meant when you said, Jack, I swear. Will you ever look up at the stars again and wonder what it's like up there? If you do, perhaps you'll see me. In the sweet, cool dream forever. See me waiting for you here in the sweet, cool dream forever.
When I first saw Brokeback, I questioned whether I was happy. After a month-long evaluation I decided I am happy, but need to get some passion into my marriage. After 11 years with the same gorgeous guy, we've gotten comfortable and need to make some changes. Many of us married women have been asking the same questions. This has turned into a process of self-evaluation for many of us, which is good. Everyone needs to make changes in their lives. And if this movie has sparked it for us, it is a good thing.
I too have lost that spark. I don't know how or why it happened. I turned 40 this month, and I've been married for 14 years. Have 2 children, a house, 2 dogs, and the white picket fence. Yeah, you name it. I have all the things in life I thought I needed. My husband got his master's, and I've been in this job for 16 years. For the first time, I looked at our marriage. We both did, and realized that we fell through the cracks. We used to have all sorts of wild sex. We broke the waterbed once. What happened? Seeing this movie brought out so much I was not ready to handle. It made me think life is so precious. I've been trying to get my husband to see the movie. I want him to connect. I don't like to nag, so I'll wait until he's ready. But we did have our first intimate talk last night in a long time. We both admitted we need each other. We are still in love. But it could go bad if we just let it go. This movie gave me courage and opened my eyes. Brokeback Mountain saved my life. I truly believe that.
As a middle-aged married man, this story and movie have made me determined to re-examine my career and my job. I don't love what I do anymore. It's time for a change. I need to take a look at opportunities and see what I could have been missing. I'm also determined to reconnect with old friends and strengthen friendships that I have. I'm more of an Edis type, and expressing emotion is difficult for me. I want to tell my wife and my kids more often that I love them. I want to hug my friends and tell them how special they are.
I'm a heterosexual married mother of 5 kids. This movie changed my marriage. We've always had a good marriage, but after Brokeback, I saw how important it was for me to cherish my partner and to not take for granted the freedom we had to live and express our love, both verbally and intimately. I feel like I just woke up from a long sleep. I feel haunted by the idea that life is half over for me, and I'm suddenly aware of how grateful I am for the treasure of my man, who is still sexy, caring, and deeply committed, and my best friend.
I'm 39 female, totally heterosexual, and totally in love with my living boyfriend since seeing Brokeback Mountain. Jack died at my age. Edis was very lonely, with important words never said and with deep regrets at my age. If I'm going to have a life partner, I am going to be like Jack and love him to the point of reckless abandon. Brokeback showed me what fear can do, and I don't want to have those regrets.
One of my friends, a devoutly religious grandmother, bought Brokeback Mountain at a local Walmart yesterday. After viewing it, she sent me a most touching email. Like so many straight people, she had no idea how society has treated gay folk. It's simply not in their experience. Well, seeing Brokeback Mountain for the first time 3 months ago, I started an intense email exchange with her about homophobia and how it affected my life. She knows now, and her reaction to the film shows it.
It has taken nearly 2 hours to regain my composure. I need to talk about this film. It is so beautiful, so perfect, so unbearably painful to watch. From the moment Jack drives away for the first of many times, and Edis crumbles in the alley, the truths start coming at me, the ugly truths. The hatred that haunts their love, the lies they both must tell, the relentless onward movement of tragedy unfolding. I want all the Jacks and Edises to live their lives in love and peace. I want the wretched hatred that flames in the eyes of the boss and Jack's father to soften with acceptance and understanding. I want both of these beautiful boys to sit down at the table together and have a piece of mother's cherry cake. I want no bloodied shirts in the closet. I want no closet at all. I want no reason to sob without comfort for 2 hours after watching a movie that reveals such excruciating pain that I feel raw and bleeding from exposure to it. That's what I want. Yes, that's what I want.
In a meadow on high, we would smell grass and pine, and embraced we would lie in a wild columbine. Scalding tears of guilt never said, "You are mine," and my lover got killed in the wild columbine. Hurried life of regret I will drown in wine, for my lover is dead in the wild columbine. So wilted and bled of my death warning sign, for my lover's long dead in the wild columbine. I will never forget till my day's last decline, the smell of grass when we met in the wild columbine.
The single best part of this Brokeback Mountain journey, the part I hope will far outlast the novelty of having our great work of art, is that it has stirred a quiescent multitude of rural, suburban, and downright country gay men out of their settled, passive, and ultimately suffocating hiding holes. Having been disrespected or ignored by a so-called gay community, we have scanned the horizons and found a bleak landscape. By and large, we have settled. Some for abstinence, some for furtive bathroom encounters, some for sex with prostitutes, some even for computer porn. Many of us have all given up the quest for a mate. The sad thing, and this applies to the real senior division here, such as myself, is that this is the time of my life when engagement with a community and a friend, love, really signifies the passage to be dignified, rather than pathetic old age. My cat is great company, but he can't bring me breakfast in bed on a day when the joints don't want to work. Even sadder is that those of us who have experienced and reached advanced years with a wealth of experience and hope to pass it on, if only anyone was listening, or even thought that there was beauty and worth in aging. Most of a generation of talent, love, and experience was wiped out by AIDS. I can't speak for anyone myself here, but being strong and authentic and forward-looking is a job that requires more fortitude than I can muster on my own most days. And I thought I was pretty much just that, on my own. I can see now that I underestimated you. You are out there and you share common life experiences and common fears and joys and sorrows with me. I hope crying over or celebrating this film brings us together. I need to know that all of you are out there to move forward. And I really hope that most of us can become real friends. And most of all, I hope that I can find my complement out there, hiding on a ranch, or in a flat, or best of all, on a beach in Hawaii. It has been more than a decade since I slept in the arms of another man, largely by my own choice. For I will not settle for Mr. Right Now. I worked too hard and paid too dearly to become the man I am to disrespect myself with one-night stands, or even weekend flings, tempting though they might be. I am worth love, and so are you all, my brothers.
I'm not sure I'm representative of any big demographic, but Brokeback Mountain has had one striking impact in the way I perceive the culture around me lately. It really offends me to see pop culture icons and entertainers resorting to the old stereotypes for gays and humor. Most entertainers would stop dead in their tracks about jokes that stereotype women or African Americans. But with gays, that type of offensive stereotyping has never been questioned until now. Brokeback Mountain has put a universal, dignified human face on gay humanity. People may be taking a while to admit that many families everywhere have members who are not straight, but Brokeback Mountain delivers the stunning lesson that individuals' collisions with their gayness is a matter of supreme seriousness. Maybe tragedy, maybe even majesty, and that anyone who wants to make fun of it is seriously embarrassing him or herself.
Brokeback has become something very precious, profound, life-changing, even sacred.
I dragged my rather conservative hubby to see Brokeback Mountain. I warned him not to make any comments or anything during the film. He actually behaved pretty well. Anyway, the movie ends, and I'm crying like a baby. And he turns to me and says,
You shouldn't make movies like this.
uh-oh, here we go. I don't need this right now. What do you mean?
Well, the ending was so sad. I don't like feeling like crap after a movie.
Am I the only person crying in this theater?
Well, no, there's a couple of guys over there crying, and that girl, and I had to hold back a tear.
So the big, macho, conservative, sports-loving Stallone fan actually loved the movie. He is getting so lucky tonight.
I've been feeling pretty devastated as of late. This might sound odd, but weirdly enough, a movie about a relationship between two men contributed to my recovery greatly. It's bizarre, and I can't figure it out. The heat generated from the movie screen, getting the chance to read the forum, sharing in everyone's stories, squealing and giggling. It's amazing therapy. And my awareness of myself as a sexual being, well, I kind of feel like my pilot light is being reignited. Woof! How strange is that? I'll be in Montana next month. Got family there. And them cowboys had better look out. It cracks me up that some folks get all offended by the content of Brokeback. In all likelihood, it'll cause more straight cowboys to get laid than any other movie in history.
We never meant to hurt anyone, but we couldn't help what we were doing. We were in love.
simple explanation for why there is so little talk of Alma and Maureen. I'm a straight woman raised in a patriarchal, to the extreme household. I can tell you their suffering is par for the course. We know it, we feel it, and we live it in one way or another every day of our lives. We know more than we care to about emotionally unavailable and cheating men. Although I believe that without the suffering of the families, mothers, daughters, wives, that this movie would not have had the impact that it does, and would not be the work of art that it is, the fact remains that we already know about the women. We are laid low by this movie because we can finally connect to masculine pain. Because we have not had occasion to see two men in a timeless romance, they are our focus in this movie. When Jack says that the truth is that he misses Edis so bad he can hardly stand it, Jake Gyllenhaal made this movie so real and human that I will never see men, especially gay men, the same, ever. They became something new, something fully human. I never knew I was missing something. I thought I had empathy. I had nothing. Since I now fully identify and connect with the men, they are telling my story as well as the women. The two men also have equal power, and so as women, we as women are drawn to them to tell our story in a way never told before by women characters. It is a powerful thing for us to have our hearts rendered anew in male bodies. I think that's why men are so stunning.
How is it that I never knew, through all the lonely years ahead, the things that I would mourn the most were all the words we never said, grieving still for vows unkept, and of the music still unplayed, with tears unwept that flood the soul, for promises we never made. When efforts to recall your smile call up a stranger's face instead, when memory fails and vision pales, I'll regret those words unsaid. As time winds down and days grow short, and evening falls with vespers rung, my tears well up and fill my heart with all the songs we left unsung. Drowned in the silence of your eyes, as you deemed to follow where I led, the sadness lingers in my heart, still haunted by those words unsaid. And when my last mistake is made, and in the place where lost illusions stir, I'll mourn the chances left untaken, and all the dreams that never were.
Draw me a picture, tell me a lie. Paint it with stars on a midnight sky. Send me a signal, show me the way. Back down the road to our yesterday. The place once safe is ours no more.
I'd draw me that picture. Tell truth and not lie. Paint it in rainbows on a brilliant blue sky. You'll send me a signal. You'll show me the way. Back over the mountain to a happier day. That plan, so safe, will be ours once more. It's all right. I'll wait. Just a little bit more. This life I live is for your memory I'll keep. I love you. I miss you. I'll see you in my sleep.
Strong arms, moist warm breath, soft songs, memories held near time. A rainbow stops.
How can we care so damn much for two people who aren't real?
This movie is a part of my skin. What can I do?
I'm a 33-year-old man. I've been married for 10 and a half years and I have 4 kids. The last 8 months of my life have been turbulent. I think it's why Brokeback Mountain has made such an impact on me. I've lived like Edis all my life. I was born into a Christian family that lived by the book, literally. And I've grown up doing the same. But all the while having an internal struggle that I had hoped would go away. I've secretly liked guys all my life. I got married to a nice girl who actively pursued me. Marriage was expected. To come out to my family would have been the most disastrous thing I could do. We were perceived as the perfect family. I'm one of 5 children, and I was not going to bring the shame to my family. In comes Brokeback Mountain. I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. This movie rocked my world. It shook me to the core. So much that old baggage that had been carrying around for so long finally loosened up enough that it had to drop. And I had to look at it. After many counseling sessions, much pain, and looking into my life and my wife's life, we decided it was best that it be divorced. During our counseling sessions, I revealed that I had a thing for men, and I felt this way all my life. But we decided to try to maintain a friendly relationship for ourselves and, well, even more so for our children. I moved into our spare room. I had to find depression knocking on my door regularly. Life is hard right now. If nothing else, Brokeback Mountain calls you to action. If this movie awakens something in you, then you have to act. My eyes have been opened.
Brokeback Mountain has cured me, as only a good religious experience could. I'm known for my gloom and doom, but Brokeback has rocked me to the core like nothing before. I haven't felt depressed since I downloaded the trailer last fall. Sadness, maybe, but with happiness standing strongly beside it. If I ever do get depressed again, I'll listen to it. Face the sadness head on, have a good cry, let it all out and feel the weight just lift. I'm in love with this new life experience. I've read that the high of a new love can last about a year, so we'll see. I can't help feeling that I'm not the same person I was before all of this started. I feel like the past has been wiped away, and for the first time I feel like that life is not as bad as I thought it was.
I'm 21, and I'm still in the closet. I'm pretty much one of the guys. I'm not remotely interested in the gay scene. I don't hate it, it's just not my thing. And even though I'm in LA, it's pretty hard to find someone like me. So I never had a boyfriend. I saw Brokeback Mountain. I felt I would end up alone. I never thought I would find a guy that had that fulfilling relationship. And now as I type this, I hate myself for giving up on that dream without a fight. The idea of finding true love came back into my life. Brokeback Mountain helped me come out of the closet to myself.
I have a rather uplifting story for all of you in the closet. Oddly enough, it begins with the horrifying events at the Oscars. I was so unbearably depressed about that awful night and couldn't imagine how something so terrible could have happened. Crash, are you kidding me? Anyway, the next day, I came home from school early, and my older brother was home because of spring break. He asked me what I thought of the Oscars, and I admitted I had hated it. I wasn't out to him, technically, but I always felt it was the proverbial elephant in the room. I knew he knew. We just never talked about it. He continued to prod me as to why I had hated it, and what award it was that upset me so much. And finally, I said it. I had seen Brokeback Mountain.
Last month, I came out to my mother. She's 93. Of course she knew. Of course. I come from the Jack and Edis era. We didn't talk about it for lots of reasons. But my dear mother asked why I was so upset. I told her some of my friends had committed suicide 40 years ago because their parents had rejected them after learning they were gay. Yes, they did.
I am different.
My mother replied, well, God bless her and God bless Brokeback Mountain and everyone who brought it to the screen. The miracle continues.
For the first time in my life, I feel hope. I had shut down completely without realizing it. I just existed. That's all, existed. This morning I woke up happy, really happy, for the first time in a long, long time.
Life has opened up. I've dated for the first time in my life. I've lost over 30 pounds, and I've worked my ass off, literally. I'm in 2 plays, and I'm recording my 3rd CD. Such a great rush began and has continued since that cataclysmic night back in mid-January.
Since seeing Brokeback, I find myself looking at men with uncontrollably dopey eyes. You couldn't get any dopier
come to terms with some issues of my past, but somewhere lurking in the back of my mind, I knew there was more. I just couldn't find it. In the last few days, I've pieced together my thoughts, fears, and needs to explain to myself what happened to me. It was after reading the story 3 times, searching my soul long and hard, and facing what I knew to be the truth that I made a radical decision. I quit my job after 19 years. I can't believe I'm putting it in writing. I'm staying on to wrap up some projects, but I'm out at the end of the month. I'm looking for a job, though no prospects yet. I'm divorced, 57 years old, with 2 kids and 5 grandkids. And I did the stupidest and bravest thing I may have done in my life. I can't live in misery for fear of what the future may hold, not anymore. I'm laughing to myself, at myself, because though on some level I'm scared to death, I feel a lightness of heart that I have not felt in forever. None of you made the decision for me, but all of you enveloped me in love, compassion, and understanding. You helped me come to terms with myself and what I need for myself, not for what I thought other people expected. Bless you all.
Brokeback Mountain puts everything in perspective now.
An opportunity for Brokeback speech came up this past weekend when we were away in the mountains on vacation. Yes, having a Brokeback vacation. It's not the season now for snow, but heavy clouds, low temperatures, and a chilly forecast combined to give me a chance to say, "Gonna snow tonight for sure." I'm bloody pleased tonight with myself at that.
Has Brokeback Mountain given you hope and made joy more possible? I know it has for me. For instance, my partner and I have definitely found a new spiritual center and a more joyful expression of our relationship. I also feel more able to share myself at a deep level with others. That's part of self-acceptance, I suppose.
This was what I was missing all my life. I called Heidi, my Jack, and said yes to that little cow and calf operation. It is going to be a sweet life.
Not like other couples, you and I. Our dreams are like clouds up in the sky. We stand far below and watch them as they go, and never turn real rain on down. Nights is dry, dry, dry in this land of yours and mine. It's dry, bone dry, and it's been that way for years. The only thing that flows is the whiskey as she goes, and every now and then some bitter tears. Well, every day with you's a holiday, and if you ask me why, here's what I'll say. Soon as we're done celebrating, it's another year of waiting, 'cause we're not like other couples, you and I. It's dry, dry, dry in this land of yours and mine. It's dry, bone dry, and there's not one drop of water there. The only thing that flows is the whiskey as she goes, and the only laugh when we're too drunk to care. That's that sound ringing in my ear, and if we're quiet, maybe we can hear. Well, it sounds like wedding bells, must be somebody else, 'cause we're not like other couples, you and I. Well, I heard a wedding story a while ago, and I'll try to remember if I can. Well, someone stole the wedding dress, it was really quite a mess, and the groom, he ran off with his best man. It's dry, dry, dry in this land of yours and mine. It's dry, bone dry, and we're here and here we'll stay. We're doing very well, and making life a hell. Let's hope that heaven waits for us someday.
Time for post 4,000. Last December, this movie came out. Suddenly now, I've radically expanded the base of my friends. Even though the gay movement has always paid lip service to diversity, I found that it was pretty and the pretty and young folks who have always been most valued, not folks from blue and white collar jobs, just everyday folks. The ideology of the movement has always advocated coming out. However, if you don't conform to many of these stereotypes, then you come out to a void, to nothing. The Forum is a community where communication is the essential element. People are allowed to express their hearts no matter where they are along in their development, and that's a good thing. One of the reasons that Edis was unable to move forward in his life was because he couldn't see where he could go or what he could be. What this place has given me is a place where I can be myself and see my way forward with people who are like friends and family to me. Regardless of their gender, their age, or what they look like. And that's really a good thing, something worth treasuring.
Well, the most important thing about Brokeback Mountain is not its commentary on the consequences of the closet, which I think most gay men who have seen the film relate to at first, but its re-examination of the traditional constructs of masculinity. As a gay man who grew up feeding and corralling cattle, building fences, and working summers in the oil field roustabout outfit, or in an auto repair shop, I have to say that deep down, Jack Twist makes sense to me. The bedrock of my personality, my identity, was laid down in those hard places, those quiet times. Brokeback Mountain has much to say to men about how often the regime of masculinity demands the beating of human heart as a sacrifice. Brokeback allows gay men to declare false and follow the rigid, reactionary tyranny of the cowboy myth, a myth that Hollywood has coddled and perpetuated. We can be emancipated from this myth.
The truth is the mythical cowboy, Hollywood cowboy, is emasculated. The real cowboy finds his manhood in the freedom to say who he is and to be who he is, to make his own way. Brokeback requires a man to do his work. It's honest work. The work of opening your heart and exposing it to the cold mountain air, laying yourself bare as the ice-scaped rock. Few have either the desire or the ability to do that kind of work. You have to be brave. Bravery is a virtue in limited currency. Who among us is brave enough to lead? From my vantage point on the mountain, I see vast territories to explore. I see that there are trails through the great American desert laid down long ago. I see it in passes through the peaks. Go west, young man. It is our destiny to be better than we are.
When I am gone, don't you cry.